The question is, explain how an increase in AD affects employment level of an economy. So first, we need to understand what is AD. AD is the total demand for final goods and services in the economy at a given time and price. So AD firstly consists of C, which is the amount households plan to spend on goods, government spending, and planned spending on capital investment. And finally, net exports, which include exports minus imports. And there's an increase in AD, the AD curve on the ADAS diagram will shift rightwards, like in the diagram in front of you. So when does AD increase? AD increase maybe because of economic growth, or maybe because of monetary or fiscal policy by the government, or sometimes decreasing price of goods and services, or expecting higher prices in the future. And there are a lot of other reasons. But how will AD affect the employment level will depend on the state of the economy, whether it's in the intermediate range or classical range. The economy is in the intermediate range when it hasn't reached its full capacity, which means the resources are still available and the pool labor is readily available too. And in this case, an increase in AD will lead to an increase in employment level. So for instance, when there's a rise in AD, according to the diagram, there will be a rise in income. So when there's a rise in income, people's purchasing power will rise. And this will lead to people demanding for goods and services more. To meet such a demand, producers need to produce more goods and services. But as labor is a derived demand, more people are employed. And that's why the employment level will rise. An example of such intermediate range economies are those newly industrialized economies with readily available resources and large, relatively cheap labor, and those are Brazil, Myanmar, and Vietnam, for instance. Let's look at the classical range. Economies in this range are those that have reached the maximum capacity, which means they have scarce resources. And in this case, a rise in AD will lead to a fall in employment level. But why? Because at this stage, when AD rises, national income stops rising, but the GPL will rise exceptionally high, and that adds the cost of production of firms. Therefore, in order to maintain the profits, they need to retrench workers. And at the same time, labor union will demand for increasing wages to keep the standard of living high. That will add to the cost of production again, and that causes firms to retrench workers, causing a fall in employment level. An example of those classical range economies are those old industrialized economies that have scarce resources, and these, for example, are Japan and Germany. So that's all for the lesson, and thank you for your wonderful attention.